Hi, Attorney Steve Fonder, the real estate lawyer, and we're back and we're talking in this episode about the condemnation clause. The condemnation clause has to do with eminent domain. This is the taking of private property for public purpose. If you're a commercial real estate broker, this is really good information for you. Homeowner, property owner, subject to eminent domain. This is something really good to know. So without further ado, let's head to the Attorney Steve litigation whiteboard. Okay, we're back. So let's back it up here. Let's get some perspective. I've got one of my pictures up here and conveniently drawn out to help you internalize these tough legal concepts. So we are talking about condemnation clause right up there, okay? We've got our restaurant for sale. Let's just say we're in Maricopa County here, Arizona. We're Phoenix, Scottsdale, those kinds of cities, Chandler, Gilbert, Tempe, Mesa, all those. We have a buyer, we have a seller, okay? And the seller is selling the restaurant. Let's just use an example. Let's just use this out. You probably can't see it, but I'm going to use it. $500,000. $500,000. Going to get this state-of-the-art sports bar, okay? So seller selling that. Buyer only has $250,000. He says, tell you what, I'll give you $250 and you carry back the $250. Seller carry back. Okay, these are becoming very popular nowadays. So seller wants to carry back, buyer wants to buy it. So he takes out a note. Let's go over here. You can see my little picture of a note here. Deed of trust. Those are your documents. So the note would be for $250K. There's your note. Your deed of trust, of course, gets recorded with the county recorders. That becomes the security. That becomes the security for the repayment of the $250. So seller gets his $250 in pocket, cash in hand, so to speak, as we like to say, cash in hand. And the other $250 is in the form of a loan. The deed of trust is recorded. The seller has their secured interest. Buyer takes over the restaurant, starts running it, making money, doing improvements, zoning and entitlements, all sorts of wonderful things, working on the trademarks, all these good things. Then, out of the blue, while everything's looking great, out of nowhere comes the city of Phoenix. And they say, we are condemning this land. We are condemning this land. What does that mean? It means the city is taking this land for a public purpose. They're going to put it to use for a public purpose. Can they do that? Yes. That's the power of eminent domain. They have the power. It's a constitutional right to come in and exercise the power of eminent domain and seize this property. So, but the city wants to come in and they want to pay, let's say, $350,000 to buy this property. That's what they think is the fair and just compensation. And they have their appraisal to support that. This is what the thing's worth. The markets went down. Here's what we have. So now we have a question though. Who gets the $350,000? Is it the buyer because they own the property? Is it the seller because they sold the property, still have a lien, still have an outstanding note that hasn't been paid? Tough legal question here, okay? So one way these issues get resolved is you have what's called a condemnation clause. Condemnation clause, so here it is. And let's say you have this clause in your note, in your deed of trust, one of the two. Maybe you have it in a lease. Let's say this was a lease. You might also have a lease agreement that has a condemnation clause, which may dictate contractually who's entitled to this money. And you know, when you come in, you end up getting $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Maybe you end up challenging this figure and getting more in a court or in a settlement. So the condemnation clause can dictate who's going to get those proceeds because it's an agreement between the seller and the buyer. It's assuming we're an arm's length transaction. The buyer and the seller have agreed on the terms of this condemnation clause, which is part of these other real estate related documents. Is this making sense? I hope so. So the condemnation clause may say something like, in the event of an eminent domain action or a condemnation action by any city, state, government, county, SRP, APS, Arizona Department of Transportation, ADOT as we call it, all proceeds shall go to the seller. All proceeds shall go to this person, or all proceeds shall go to that person, or the parties shall prorate any settlement, whatever it is. You could have all different kinds of information, all kinds of different terms and clauses in this condemnation clause. So something that you want to have look, if you're the owner, if you're the buyer, and you're in eminent domain, seek legal counsel. If you're the seller, you're in eminent domain, seek legal counsel. If you're the attorney for the city, seek legal counsel. Just kidding. Just kidding. You are legal counsel. So, the point is, have your documents reviewed. Go in and do the analysis and see what the parties agreed to in these documents, okay? If you need some help in an Arizona eminent domain action, we take cases from Page on down to Tucson, everything in between. Find out more information at ArizonaEminentDomain.com. That's ArizonaEminentDomain.com. So if you like this video, we appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking on that red V for victory. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks a lot. Hope this was helpful.